I, as always, am your host, Nigel, and so sorry for not being able to go live yesterday. I was having some trouble going live. So, what I believe the issue was that Facebook's having a new way of going live producer, and there's a little message whenever you try to go live that pops up saying that the old way of going live, which I honestly preferred, is going to be sort of phased out and it's going to be replaced by this one. So I tried going live the old way because they still have that option available, but it wasn't doing it. So what I think is I'm pretty much forced to have to learn how to go live this way, which is a bit annoying, but we're gonna get through this together. We're gonna figure this out together, everyone. So, uh, just to recap, last week's riddle was this: why can't a man living in New York be buried in Chicago? So the answer to that one is very simple, and that is because that man is still alive. The riddle didn't say the guy was dead. You're gonna try to bury an alive guy? What's wrong with you? But all right, next up, it's story time once again. So this one's a bit of a different one. This one, at the time when I was young, was because we were taking this way back. This was about seventh, eighth grade. This one was pretty interesting and something I forgot about until recently. I'm like, oh, okay, that was pretty funny, and I'm gonna tell it to my audience here on System Shock Radio. So, this was back when I was going to my old school back in middle school, and I was walking to the bus stop. So how it was set up was down the street was my house, and then I just walk up the street to the bus stop. And back then, what we would do is my dad would like wait at the end where our house was and watch me walk up the street every morning to go to school. So, this one particular morning, I of course am walking up, and I get about uh, 3/4 of the way up there. I'm almost there, and in front of me, I see the biggest skunk I've ever seen. And I'm talking, this skunk was huge, like huge, white tank top, and I'm pretty sure he had a dumbbell in his hand, cigar in his mouth, everything. And this skunk was huge, and I was scared. I was like, "Oh my god, that is a really big skunk." Not only because it was so big, but because it sprays as well. So a skunk's natural defense mechanism when it gets scared is that it sprays you, and so I was terrified. I'm like, I do not want to get sprayed. I do not want to walk into school smelling terrible. So, I froze. I just stood there and froze. And I did not want to move. I was like, okay, no, I'm not going past that skunk. Keep in mind, the bus stop is right there, and the skunk is dead set in the middle of me and that bus stop. That skunk is the one thing standing between me and that bus stop. So I was like, okay, either I can try to walk around, find some way around it, or I can book across. Now, thankfully, the bus hadn't come yet. Now, if the bus was on its way down the street, then I'd have no choice but to like go full speed ahead against it. But the thing about walking around is I was afraid that that skunk was going to chase me, was going to follow me. So, what we ended up doing was, first of all, my dad walked up. So, of course, a parent's natural instinct, if you see your child just standing there instead of going to the bus stop, is something's wrong. So, he walked up, and before he even said anything, he saw the skunk as well. Oh, and now we're both looking at the skunk. So, me and him together, we went around to the other side of the sidewalk. So, we went around and then came back around to the bus stop. Thankfully, the skunk didn't follow us. To be honest, I don't even think the skunk noticed us. But we walked around, and that was it. Caught the bus, and I did not get sprayed by a skunk. So that is woohoo! That's great. And it's a funny little story. And if you were talking to younger me about it, like, hey, what happened with the skunk and everything, then I would be terrified. But looking back now, it was kind of funny. I'm glad I didn't get sprayed. I've never been sprayed by a skunk, but I know people who kind of have. They said it really smells bad. It's almost impossible to get off you. You gotta shower a lot, and I think tomato paste, they said, it removes it. But that's about it for that. So next up is sort of the inspirational slash message part of this, and this is you reap what you sow. Now, when a lot of people hear that phrase, it has a negative connotation behind it. And truth be told, it's both negative and positive for a few reasons. One of those reasons is that, and of course, the negative side of it is you reap what you sow. If you who talk negative about yourself or about others and surround yourself with negative people and just think negative, just act negative, then all you're going to get is negativity. That's why when kids are bad at Christmas time, they get coal for Christmas. It's sort of the same way. If you only have negativity around you, then negativity is all that you see. But on the flip side, if you surround yourself with positive people, if you speak positively of yourself and others, if you walk out the house every morning saying, today's going to be a great day, today's going to be awesome, the sun is shining, birds are chirping, etc., etc., then it's going to be a great day. Hey, you're going to have a more positive outlook on the day, and you'll be surrounded by good things happening to you. Good things will be constantly happening to you. You might find maybe $20 on the street. You or one of your friends might get a promotion, and who knows? So always sow positively so that you can reap positively. So next topic is a question that I'm sure all of you have either asked or have been asked at some point. And the reason that we're asked this question is oftentimes it says a lot about a person's personality and their priorities. And the question is if you could have one superpower, which power would you have? And you may be interested because judging by, hang on, I'm just going to adjust the camera a little bit. There we go. That's good. So, judging by your answer, oftentimes you may find that it says something about yourself. If you hear other people's answers, it'll say something about them as well and their personalities. And it seems to be sort of linked because if you're given a supernatural power, basically the question is if you could have a power, what would it be? And I guess what would you do with it? So me personally, if I had a power, I would want the ability to have control over time. If I'm running late and I'm like, oh, I got about 30 minutes to get there, I'm going to slow down time to where I'll be able to get there on time. But and on the flip side, if there's a shift at work and shifts going by kind of dully, not a whole lot to do while I'm there, and I'm tired of logging on and doing the same exact thing to look or keep myself busy, I'm gonna speed up the clock so that I can go. So that says a lot about a person. Some people want super speed so they can get to and from places quickly. Some people want to be invisible. Some people want to fly. Some people want to be able to dig underground. Some people want to have the abilities of animals. So depending on who it is, it says a lot about a person. And that's why it's a fantastic little icebreaker question. So next time you're with your friends, just randomly say, hey, if you guys could have a superpower, what power would you have? And see what your friends' responses are. They may interest you, they may intrigue you. Who knows? So, next thing I'm going to talk about is what effect does classical music have on the mind? Just bombarding you all with questions today. So, what effect does classical music have on the mind? So, oftentimes when you want to study and you want to get some work done, you throw on some classical music, some Beethoven, some Mozart, some Bach, so whoever, Chaplin, whoever, and oftentimes you find that with the classical music surrounding you, your brain's able to focus more. You're able to crank stuff out. Like I remember one time, I had a paper and I was getting started on the paper. I'm like, okay, how am I going to get started on this paper? I got about an hour to type it before I believe I had to go to work. I had to go somewhere to where I had to get started on the paper, and then immediately after I had to go. So what I do, I threw on some classical music, just looked some stuff up on YouTube, some classical music stuff on YouTube, threw it on, and by the time the hour was up and my classical music was almost over, I checked the word count because, of course, it had a word count, and I found I was almost at my word count. I was like, "Whoa! I did that in an hour? That's incredible!" And oftentimes mothers will play classical music through those like I guess headphones to their babies while they are pregnant, and it's said to make your baby come out smarter. Now the accuracy of that is disputable, but it's put it around children so that they may able to learn more and to retain knowledge more and help increase productivity, stuff like that. So that's why, that's some reasons why people would say classical music has a great effect on the brain. Stuff like putting on Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata while you do great work and stuff it can be essential, even though I love the Moonlight Sonata. It's a really great piece. But next is something I want to talk about that I feel a lot of people should hear. And it's a bit cliche, but something that I feel is so, so, so important. And that is treat others the way you want to be treated. Treat others the way you want to be treated. That is, for a lot of people, that's considered the golden rule. That's the one rule that a lot of people live by, is treat others the way you want to be treated. It says that in the Bible, love that neighbor as you love yourself. Of treat people with respect, because you would want people to treat you with respect. If you treat people badly, if you are abusive or you speak negatively towards people, then don't be surprised if they speak negatively towards you back. Like so, oftentimes we don't realize that because we aren't treating people the way we should, and oftentimes we're not cognizant of it. Oftentimes people treat us that way. So it's sort of even it says that even in science is with Newton's law is every action has an opposite and equal reaction, an equal and opposite reaction. So, but with the equal and opposite that's being referred to there, let's put that in the context of this. If you treat people poorly, then expect them to treat you just as poorly as you treated them, equal and opposite. So it's equal to where you're treating them poorly, they're treating you poorly, but opposite because now instead of it coming out of you, now it's coming to you. So if you treat people kindly, if you're nice to people, then expect kindness back. Well, don't expect kindness back. Do it because it's the right thing to do. But you should, at least in the back of your mind, expect kindness back because you treated people kindly. So that's why treat others the way you want to be treated. If you would not want to be treated that way, put yourself in the shoes of that person and have some empathy. You put yourself in the shoes of that person. Like, okay, if I was this person and someone was treating me this way, would I be cool with it? If your answer is no, oh, then change that up. Treat people the way you want to be treated. If that's how you want to be treated, then treat others that way. Okay, so, moving on, these are some movies that I've never seen. So, at this point in time, I'm 19 years old, but there's still several movies that I have never seen. Some of them include Terminator. I've never seen a Terminator movie. A lot of people said they were really good. I've never seen them personally. I've never seen a Godfather movie. A lot of people said, "Oh, that Godfather's a classic." I've never seen it. I gotta get around to it. Menace to Society or Boys in the Hood, movies like that. I know, whew, I just lost a lot of views there, but I've never seen them mainly because gang violence and stuff is something that always makes me sad, stuff like that. And I haven't gotten around to seeing it. The Dark Knight trilogy, never seen a Dark Knight movie, not even the Dark Knight, the one that Heath Ledger got the Oscar for, never saw it. I've never seen The Matrix, never seen it. I heard it's a really good movie, never seen it. Uh, Mission Impossible or 007 or like spy movies. Never really seen it. To be honest, those aren't really my thing. I like action movies, but for some reason, spy movies don't uh just really don't have that kind of effect on me. Even though I've seen Austin Powers. Austin Powers was an okay movie, but spy movies usually aren't really my thing. And I'm not sure why. And I've never seen Fast and Furious. Never saw a Fast and Furious movie. I was sad when Paul Walker died. That was unfortunate, but I've never seen a Fast and Furious movie. So there's a bunch of movies I've never seen. But the next topic is a movie that I have seen, and that movie is Scarface. So there's two versions of Scarface. There's the one in the 1930s, which is more about Al Capone, and then of course there's the one that everybody remembers. There's in 1986 or seven, I believe, the one starring Al Pacino as Tony Montana. That's the one I've seen. So um, Scarface, when I saw it, first of all, I saw it on Father's Day because that's one of my dad's favorite movies is Scarface. And me, my dad, and my brother all sat down and watched this movie. Of course, my brother did have to leave early, so he saw about half the movie. I sat through the whole thing, and it was an interesting movie. It was a fun movie to get behind. And so, a couple things about it. First of all, it's a bit of a long movie, though. I believe it's about 2 hours and 52 minutes, which is almost 3 hours. And apparently, The Godfather's even longer. So, growing up seeing The Wiz, at one point, I was like, The Wiz? This is a long movie. And to see, because before I saw the movie, I looked up the runtime for the Scarface movie, and I was in shock. I was like, it's longer than The Wiz. It's longer than The Wiz, but that didn't stop me because it's an almost 3 hour movie, but for some reason it doesn't feel like a 3 hour movie. It feels like maybe a 1 2 hour movie. It's so much fun and so interesting that you don't even realize that you've been watching this for almost 3 hours. And it's an interesting movie for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons being is that it's one of those movies where a lot of people had some mixed reception about it. Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy said she didn't really like to see it. She didn't like it because it was filled with a lot of violence and profanity. The movie has a ton of violence in it, and that's why a lot of people don't like it. They didn't like it when it came out because the movie is incredibly graphically violent. There's chainsaws, there's gunfights, it's all kinds of people die. Almost every like major character dies at some point in the movie, except for a few. So, there's a lot of violence in the movie, a lot of shooting, a lot of killing, a lot of profanity. And that's why a lot of people were like, oh my God, I do not want to see this movie. And Lucille said she didn't want to take her kids to see this movie because it was so profanity laced. It was so violent. And another person said they fell asleep during it. And it's a movie with mixed reception, but me personally, I enjoyed it. But also, it paints the life of a drug dealer or a mobster as a negative life. If you're not supposed to cheer for him, but yet somehow you do. So Tony Montana comes from Cuba, and they tied some real life into this to where, or basically, they set it up after Fidel Castro opened up the borders for Cubans to come in into America, and in story wise, Tony Montana was one of them, and he rises up as a drug dealer, but he makes so many mistakes to where you're not supposed to cheer for him, but somehow you still do. There's good and bad towards him. The good is that, of course, he's the main character. He seems to have a heart. He's incredibly funny. Al Pacino does a great job portraying him, and it's to the point where you fall in love with the character and you cry when, spoiler alert, he dies at the end. And Tony Montana dies at the end, gets shot in the back, falls into his fountain at his mansion, and Montana dies at the end. And he had to die at the end because the bad about Montana is pretty much everything else. He was a drug dealer. He pretty much screwed everyone over. He shot his best friend because his best friend married his sister. Montana was so screwed up. He was. Apologies for that, just some mic issues, but he was. Looks like again. You good, buddy? You good? All right, looks like he's good. So, um, so much happened throughout the movie. Montana screwed over her almost everyone. Shot his best friend for marrying his sister. Was super overprotective. Was very shady, disrespectful towards his mom. His mom was disappointed in him. They got into an argument, and it was to the point where eventually he had to die. That's the only way it could end because ultimately the message was is that this type of life leads to death. It's basically, if you live the life that Tony Montana did, it you are not going to make it out alive. And that's something that I think a lot of people miss because a lot of rappers tried to get inspiration from the movie. A lot of rappers and few singers, few people who pretty much said, I want to live the life of Tony Montana. No, you don't. Those people probably he watched to the halfway point of the movie where Montana gets everything. He gets the money, he gets the empire, he gets the girl. And that was another bad thing he did. He stole another dude's woman. So he gets the money, he gets the mansion, he gets the cars, he gets the girl, he gets seemingly everything. And that's where they paused the DVR and said, yep, that's the life. But if they were to continue watching, you will see how pretty much in the second half of it, everything goes downhill. The girl that Montana gets left him. He was coked out pretty much 24/7 and screwing everybody over. He screwed up a mission and pretty much shot the people that he was supposed to be working for because he was working under another drug dealer. Pretty much lost everything. And dude stormed his home. His friends are dead. His family is presumed dead, and um, all he has left is himself and his guns, which only get him so far. And he's getting shot up. His manager's getting shot up, and for him to get shot in the back, heck, it was sad. I admit I almost did cry because he died, but it was the only way it could have ended for him. But that's why I believe it's such a powerful movie with an important message for all. But you know what? Enough gushing about the movie. That is just about all the topics for today. So, just a couple announcements, and then we'll close out with next week's reel and everything. So, first of all, my friends run a couple pages. So, there's Surfer Sports Channel. My friend Anthony runs that page where he talks about sports and what's going on in the world of sports. Which, although they're temporarily shut down because of the pandemic going around, there's still a lot of interesting stuff there. So, Surfer Sports Channel, go check that out. And him and my other friend Trey also have a motivational page on Instagram called Make the Difference. So check that out. I'll go give them a like, follow, and everything like that. And that is going to do it. Oh, my other announcement. So by the end of the week, I'm going to have all of the previous Phoenix Rising Radio episodes available on my main Facebook page. They'll be archived for those who liked Phoenix Rising Radio. Oh, sad to see it go. And this so for those of you who don't know what Phoenix Rise Radio is, you might be thinking, Nigel, what the heck is that? It was the older incarnation of this System Shock Radio. So it was the first incarnation. I decided to rename it, revamp it, rebrand it. So I will have Phoenix Rise Radio archived for you guys by the end of this week. I'll figure out how to do that. And that is going to do it. So for next week's riddle, this one is, I think, is a pretty interesting one, is what has a head and a tail, but no body? I'm going to read it again. What has a head and a tail, but no body? And one more time. What has a head and a tail, but no body? That is your riddle for next week. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you all later. Peace.